No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today, I'm having a conversation, which for the record is starting at 5:03, with Ghost of CC Unit, a guy who's been making some waves on the internet, basically hunting down creeps and exposing them on YouTube.
Exactly, yeah. We're here, finally. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing this for a while. Okay, let's start early in your life. Where are you from?
I'm from San Diego, the 619760.
Okay.
I grew up all over San Diego, but I'm from North County right now.
Okay. And what kind of kid were you in high school?
I mean...
And how old are you right now?
I'm 25.
25, okay.
Yeah, just kind of like a average life. I mean, two parents, brothers, sisters, and grew up. I played sports in high school, and once I got out of high school, I went to college. But I started CC Unit like right after high school, like pretty early on.
So what, had you always thought about being a YouTuber, or where do you think the desire or the idea came from?
Yeah, no, my ambitions was never to be like a YouTuber or like a, influencer or whatever you want to call it. I just liked, to catch a predator, Chris Hansen. And I always liked to be like a detective when I was older. So I was like, and I also knew like people who were affected by this problem. I'm not like, affected by this, but I knew people who were. And I was like, and then especially in California where how the laws are nowadays, like it's just super lenient on these guys.
Really?
Super, I mean, I'll get into that later.
Yeah, we can get into that later for sure. But I mean, it's interesting that you started it so close to like you being in high school. Because normally when we think about the catcher thing, it's usually like adults. But you were like 18, you're like fresh out of high school. So you could have been a victim like a year or two earlier, in theory, at least based on age.
Yeah. I mean, I got out of high school and I was like, there's just so many creep. And then another thing that really caught my eye was if you've heard of Megan's Law. Megan's Law is where like the offender list is.
Okay.
So it just shows everybody around you. So I was like, you know what, let me just see how many people are around my area that's, weirdos. So I put in my address and there was tons. I was like, what the hell?
Wow.
There's this much amount of creeps around in my area? And I was like, let me see how many there are in LA, Orange County, and they're literally everywhere.
Right.
I mean, if we put in the address anywhere in the world, they're going to come up. It's crazy.
Wow, that is crazy.
And that's another thing that kind of like, it's like, dude, they're all over the place, And then like sometimes when I watch TV and I would see like how lenient the laws are, like how I said earlier, you see people get like 6 months, not probation, just super lenient stuff. And it's like, why are these guys are the worst of the worst.
So you said that you knew somebody who was affected by it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to drop names, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I knew like some girls who were, obviously, and then...
In terms of like just dating or hanging out with like older dudes that you thought it was kind of like a creepy relationship, or girls who were actually like meeting older guys on the internet?
Both.
Really?
Both. I knew girls who were affected by this in every possible way. Some of them were affected by this through their own family members.
Oh, really?
Some people who were affected by this by, ex-boyfriends and all this and that. I mean, there's countless stories that I could tell.
It is crazy because when I think about being like 13, when I was in 7th grade, that all the girls that we thought were pretty in my grade, they would have dudes like with cars picking them up from school. But at the time, 1997, we didn't even, I didn't really know that this was messed up.
Oh yeah, I mean it's pretty common. It's like you see these girls, they go to these parties or whatever, and there's random 30-year-olds over there. Like, well, why are they there? Because it's just weird.
Okay, so you were watching To Catch a Predator, or were you watching any of the like online hunters that are out there?
No, I was actually one of the first ones.
Oh, really?
To be honest with you, yeah, I started back in 2018.
Okay.
I started back. I remember the first day I actually did my first catch. It was August 2nd, 2018.
Okay. How do you set the bait?
So I don't want to like give out all my strategies because I still catch creeps.
But you use a lot of different sites, right?
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's no one site that is just your best
Oh
version.
yeah, there's not like one particular app or one website that I use. I use all of them.
Okay.
All of them, and obviously we set up these accounts wherever we want to decoy on, and we pose all types of different ages: 12, 13, 11, 10, 9, 4 years old, 5 years old.
4-year-olds.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
I guess there probably are 4-year-olds using the internet. It's kind of hard for me to imagine, but I'm sure that it does happen.
Yeah, and they come running these.
Must be
creeps.
weird texting, pretending to be a 4-year-old.
Well,
Like, what do you write? Like,
well, I'm usually not the decoy.
okay, so you don't do that side of it so much?
Yeah. I don't do that side of it so much. I usually do the confrontation where I go
Right.
meet them in person.
So you have a whole team at this point?
Oh yeah, I have decoys, security, camera crew, people who talk to non-emergency cops and all that. We have a whole squad. That's why it's called the CC unit.
And all volunteers, just people who believe in this mission?
Oh yeah, most of them are volunteers, and sometimes I do like I don't want to drop names, but I do pay sometimes.
Right. Okay, but so setting the bait, you make an account on all these different platforms or whatever, and then do you wait for somebody to message you or do you message them first?
Yeah, so we wait for them to message us. We never reach out first.
Because that would make it too entrapment-y?
Yeah, I mean, technically, private citizen. I'm not a cop, obviously. I'm just a regular, ordinary Joe off the street, average citizen, private citizen, and technically, we can't entrap. Even if we do message them first, we can't entrap because entrapment only applies to law enforcement.
Okay.
So, even if we wanted to, we could message them technically, but
If you want to make the best possible legal case, like the
Exactly.
highest chance of a conviction, it's better for them to message you.
exactly, yeah, it's best for them to message us, and then it's just a lot better of a solid case for them to get arrested and then convicted.
And so do you have, you don't have it in your bio like 10 years old, right? You just
We
tell
do sometimes.
Okay.
We do.
Or is
literally.
it better to just tell them once you've been talking to them for a little bit?
Either way, I mean, we've done it in both strategies before.
Right. And some of the ones that I've clicked on, it's like you spend like long periods of time talking to them. Like sometimes the guys will talk to you for a little while and then they'll just go ghost and then they'll return and then that's when you get them.
Well, yeah, it all really depends on the creep himself. Some of them will come out in a day. Like the first day they contact,
They're eager.
they're ready to go, and then sometimes they'll take months, if not a year. So it all really depends on the creep.
Okay. And so then once you have them in your sights, what's the average thing that you say to try to meet up with them? And what kind of spots do you meet up?
I mean, we've met them up everywhere. We've met them up at stores, piers, malls, at their house, at the decoy's house, parks.
Do you prefer to do it in public? I would think that would
I
be
would-
safer than their house.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, it's safer in public, but we have went to their house. Like, for example, the creep that we're gonna catch tonight after this podcast, we're gonna go to his house.
Wow. And do you know anything about them?
Oh yeah, most of the time before we confront them, we literally know everything about them. We know their name, criminal history, what they do for a job, what they drive, where they live, how old they are, like literally everything.
Okay. See, that soothes one of my concerns, which is that I would be scared that I'm accidentally meeting up with somebody who's like in the cartel or some and they're just going to kill me as soon as as they figure out what's going on. Not that the cartel would ever do such a thing, but any like crazy criminals, like, so do you try to make sure that they like don't have a criminal history or a violent history? But
I like it when they have a criminal history. Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
It's because it's easier for them to get arrested. Because
okay.
once they get caught, the DA or the cops, they're like, oh, this guy already has a criminal history. He has a rap sheet. It's just easier to prosecute these guys. Some of them are on probation already for other crimes.
Right.
Some of them are on parole. It's just easier to get them locked up.
Okay, that makes sense. But do you ever look at their criminal history and you're like, oh, he shot somebody before? maybe he's going to shoot me.
Oh yeah. We've definitely taken that into consideration. There was a guy that we caught. He was arrested previously before he got arrested in our sting. He was arrested for attempted murder, robbery,
Right.
Concealed dagger.
Dagger. Wow.
We've seen all types of charges with these guys, and then obviously some of them are registered offenders already.
Right.
So.
And so then, okay, you meet up with them, and I mean, I've seen a couple of them, but your YouTube channel got removed.
Yeah, it got removed like a few months ago. It's just kind of how YouTube's new policy is that came out last year.
So what is the policy that makes them remove you?
It's actually pretty ridiculous. When you read the policy, it says that like harassment and bullying and just this BS. And then it says like if you post a video that's a set up staged sting, we don't want to post this on our platform unless it's educational or a documentary style.
So the whole idea of a sting is the thing that goes against their policy? What other things would people be doing stings on people for? What is the definition of a sting?
We can Google that right now.
I am going to look it up right now because that's just kind of an interesting question, but sting it's going to be like the fourth definition of sting though. Oh yeah, look at it right there. No, it's the second. A carefully planned operation, typically one involving deception. Okay. But damn, so like everyone who's doing this kind of content on YouTube is basically running this risk, or are there things that you can do to try to stay within the rules?
Man, you're taking a risk if you're putting on YouTube at this point. Because the way I do it in by the law. Like I do it very clean cut. I don't put any risk factors in it. We don't beat them up. Obviously we want to do that because we hate these type of guys, but we don't do that, and we don't, we don't hold them, we don't grab them, we don't detain them, none of that. We just go and talk to them, and YouTube doesn't like it. At this point, I would say YouTube just doesn't like creep catchers.
Yeah, I wonder what their motivation with it is, because I guess, it could be a bad look for YouTube if you guys do this and somebody ends up shooting you in the face. Then you could kind of say like, well, why was YouTube allowing this content to exist when there's a lot of risk involved in this content? I guess that's what I would guess their reason is. Or maybe they just don't want to like encourage it, because you could almost imagine like more and more extreme versions of this type of content. I don't know. But at the same time, it's like you guys are doing stuff that is so clearly good for society. Even if you only lock up 10 guys a year or whatever, it's still like 10 dudes who are clearly doing damage to the social fabric of that city or our country.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just like, trust me, when we post up our videos when we used to post up on our videos on YouTube, we censored a lot of things. We blurred a lot of things. Like we didn't just upload a raw footage, right? We didn't upload raw footage
But were you live streaming it at one point?
We do live stream, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But on locals only now, right?
Yeah, on locals only, we live stream it now. And we do post the videos there too sometimes.
And you don't even try to put anything on YouTube at this point? You didn't like make a second channel? Or?
We will, but not like the stings itself. Probably behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
Just because they might allow that, but...
Because I can imagine you live streaming it on one platform and then taking that video and editing it in a way that it's kind of like less obvious that it's a sting type thing, or maybe it would be able to evade YouTube.
I'm hoping. Maybe. I'm hoping. We're brainstorming.
So okay, you meet this guy outside the Walmart and you confront him about it. How often do they just run?
Some of them run, some of them talk, some of them, fight or flight response. Sometimes they get aggressive. It all really depends on the creep himself. But we've had all types of instances. They've ran, they've got aggressive, they talked, they've admitted it on camera. Obviously, some of them they deny it, even though we have the chats printed out right in front of them.
Right.
We've seen all cases.
Yeah, that's wild. Like, what is the best thing for them to do?
The best thing I want for them to do, or the best thing for them?
Those are two very different answers. Okay, if you were like the dude's lawyer, or like what would be the best thing for them to do?
I don't want to say.
Yeah, you don't want to give it away. Okay.
I don't want to. I know the answer.
Because it kind of feels like running is the best thing to do, right?
Running wouldn't help.
Running doesn't help.
Well, running doesn't help because, if anything, it just makes you look more guilty.
Yes, for sure.
Like,
but at least you're like not on camera as much. But you are on camera. You're just running.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like bad. Yeah.
Well, I'm a pretty fast runner. I can keep up with them.
See, I am not good at running, so I think I would probably do like a light jog after them and then just kind of give up, which would be bad. But so, okay, you do run. You like sprint after them if you have to?
Oh, yeah. If they run, I'm running after them.
Yeah. How far are you willing to run?
Well, most of the time, these guys can't outrun me.
Okay.
They can't. I mean, I've had a guy.
Damn. So what's the craziest reaction you've ever had when you catch somebody? Notable reactions, because that's what people are tuning in for, really, is just to see what this guy's gonna say when you confront him. That moment where they're just like, fuck, my life has changed fundamentally forever.
Yeah, so one of our best videos that we haven't uploaded yet, we haven't uploaded it yet, but we will upload it one day. And I know that once we upload this video, it's gonna go viral. It's this guy, can I drop his name or no?
Sure.
Okay. His name was Mikey Barnum. Okay. This guy worked for a law firm. He was already like working in a law firm. Like he knows about the law, right? And he came out to meet with a 13-year-old boy. And once he came out, he walked into this McDonald's. And I was watching him, and the crew was with me. And we were watching him walk in the McDonald's, and then we're like, okay, that's the guy. So as soon as he exited the McDonald's, I approached him. And this guy he was just panicking. Like I've never seen it before. He was like a character, like out of a cartoon movie or something. Like straight up clown type shit. Like he was like, he was drinking whatever type of drink he bought from the McDonald's. He was making like growling noises. He was like, he worked for a law firm, and he was a pastor, or not a pastor, but he worked for a church, and he would give like lectures at churches. So he would be like, oh, please, Jesus, save me. You just have to see it to understand how funny of a video of a reaction it was.
So he was like trying to act like a crazy person?
That's what I think. I think he was trying to play the insanity card.
Yeah.
Like, because he knew he was going to get arrested. So he's like, oh, my best hope is to, let me play crazy so maybe I can get off.
Right. It is. That's part of why it's so crazy watching that shit, is because you get to see like a real Hail Mary moment where like they just go into their brain and just try to think of any possible thing that they could do in that moment to make this not as bad.
Yeah, but none of it works. Literally, I can't think of a good way for them to like get out of it.
Right.
We have them on camera. We know everything about them. Their job is going to find out. They're going to get fired.
And so do you call the cops right away, or do you wait a little bit?
No, the cops know before the catch. They don't know.
In what way do you communicate with the cops?
So we call up non-emergency ahead of time. And we say, hey, we're CCU. Well, now most cops already know who we are.
Okay.
We call them up. They're like, oh, okay, cool. Just let us know when you have a location and we'll be there.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, we just call up non-emergency. We can say like, hey, we got a sting operation today. We're CC unit. We're going to be coming to your city.
And the cops can't tell you like, sir, please do not do sting operations. Like, I feel like they don't want people taking the law into their own hands, or they seem appreciative.
Well, obviously it's a part of their protocol. I mean, in front of the cameras, they're going to say, oh, they can't force us to not do it because that's against the law on their part.
Right.
But they advise us. They request us to not do it. Like,
right.
Hey, please don't do this. It's dangerous. But behind closed doors, when the cameras are off, trust me, they appreciate what we do. Because
they're so underfunded and they just don't have the resources to really like attack this problem in any meaningful way, from what I've heard. So I feel like they probably don't mind people taking it into their hands, because, I mean, it doesn't seem like most local police departments are really funded to do this kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I've talked to detectives before, cops, and they've told me straight up, hey, we don't even have the time to do this. And
Right.
the reason being is they're so overflown and they're so buried in child porn.
Really?
Because they say that the way Google works is when Google gets some of these creeps, they upload footage and video and pictures of, I call it CP just to censor it a little.
What's the new name is CSAM,
CSAM, yeah.
child sexual assault material or some shit.
Child sexual abuse material.
Right, and because the reason why is because child pornography, like pornography by definition, is consensual. So when you throw a child in front of it, it kind of legitimizes it in a way, or acts as if it's like art or like it's okay in some way, whereas it really is a criminal act. So it shouldn't really be like referred to the way we talk about regular porn, which I think makes sense, even though probably most people are not going to be able to remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, the detectives and cops, they've told me before where the way Google works is these creeps, they upload the footages and the videos and pictures that they collect wherever they collect them from, and they store it onto their hard drives, or they store it into like a Google Drive or whatever, and then Google flags it. Google like picks up, like scans it, and they're like, oh, like this is like suspicious. So then whatever Google picks up as suspicious, they then report it to the local PD of that IP address. So they know the IP address of wherever that thing was uploaded.
Right.
So they get the footages and they report it to the cops, and then the cops are like, oh shit, this is illegal stuff right here. Then they get a warrant, they go knock down their door, arrest them, search warrant, and then they're done.
I just wonder how many times they get alerted, like in a big city like San Diego or LA. It feels like it's probably like constantly.
It's stacked. They told me, the cops are like, if you go look at our desk is filled with papers just from all the reports. So that's why they were telling me, like, hey, we don't even have the time to do this because they're so overflown by it.
Yeah, like I remember years ago, Sam Harris did a podcast about the sheer enormity of and the specifics and the details of the problem of CP, let's call it.
Yeah.
And it is astounding. Like just the amount of it that exists, how, basically useless the cops are to really deal with it in any kind of meaningful way. It's just like unbelievably shocking how big this problem is.
Bro, it's an epidemic. It really is. It's all around the world.
Yeah. And yeah, probably even worse in a lot of other countries and stuff where they don't necessarily have as strict of laws or whatever. But, one thing that always comes to mind is the fact that I remember way back in the day, the rapper Cameron from Dipset. Yeah, he was like one of the biggest rappers in New York back in the early 2000s and shit. And I remember around like 2006 or so, I would guess, he announced to the world his plans to do like a sort of like Home to Catch a Predator style thing where it would be him confronting these guys that they would bait or whatever. And everybody, just the idea of it instantly went so viral because people like could not believe how funny an idea this was. The idea of Cameron, who's this like super charismatic rapper, confronting these dudes. And I remember at the time thinking, like, even though yes, that would be amazing content, that it just seemed kind of dangerous, and that if I was Cameron, that just doesn't seem like the kind of risk that you would want to be taking. But that's why it's kind of wild to see how big this has become on YouTube, where it's like fairly common. Like who do you look at as the greats in this space in terms of this kind of content? Who does a good job with it? And are most of them all off YouTube at this point?
I would say the OG is obviously Chris Hansen.
Right.
He's the one that really started this movement. I would say I'm one of them, just because of the numbers that I have and the arrest record that I have and the convictions that I have.
Right.
And the people that I've caught.
Yeah.
I would say I'm up there. I'm not at the level of Chris Hansen yet. Maybe one day.
Well, I mean, him having a TV show and shit, that's just kind of insane. Does he still do that kind of content? No?
He does, yeah. He does.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still doing it. But I would say I'm up there. Obviously, Chris Hansen. I like John Walsh. You know,
He does it too?
America's Most Wanted.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
I mean, he doesn't do To Catch a Predator, but he does, you know, America's Most Wanted,
Right.
where he mostly goes after child predators himself. Because I don't know if you've heard the story with his son, Adam Walsh, where his 6-year-old son was, you know, kidnapped from a mall and then assaulted and then murdered.
Murdered? Holy
Yeah.
shit.
So, and that's what really inspired him to do America's Most Wanted.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then another guy that does a really, really good job is the sheriff out in Florida. His name is Grady Judd.
And he does it on YouTube?
Not on, well, he does his press conferences on YouTube,
Okay.
but it's like almost every couple months he goes up, does a press conference where he's like, these are all and he has all the mugshots of the people that he's caught. And he puts them up on a, you know, on a wall, and then he's like, these are all the people that we've caught in this sting operation. Some of them travel to meet with a minor, some of them are trading pictures, some of them are receiving pictures, you know, all types of.
How far do you travel?
I've been to many states doing this.
Really?
I've obviously California, I've been to Arizona.
So if you have a good one, you're down to drive 4 or 5 hours to go.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. If I know that this guy is a bad creep, I'm like we're talking to a guy in Montana right now.
Really?
We're talking to a creep in Montana. We're planning on going over there and getting this guy.
Was that like a 10-hour drive or something? Maybe
Yeah,
more?
Probably, yeah, more.
Jesus Christ. So you're telling me that if you were to just stick to San Diego, that it would be tough because at a certain point you're just going to kind of run out? Like, is it kind of difficult to like find these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for so long, for so many years that San Diego kind of knows who I am now. It's kind of hard to get these guys now in San Diego because they already know who we are.
And they probably talk amongst them, amongst each. Well, do they? Do you think they like know each other, or are they,
Probably. I mean, they probably have a group chat. Oh, watch out for CC unit.
yeah,
But that's good though. I like them being scared.
yeah. No, that's good. I mean, if it scares them enough to not do it, then that seems like a pretty good result too. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Probably when we talk about people who have been caught meeting up with young girls off the internet, there's no name that carries more weight over the last few years than EDP445. What are your thoughts on that initial sting that they did on him, where, as far as I've heard, it wasn't a great sting. They didn't actually get any charges pressed against him, and the guy who did the sting ended up potentially being a weirdo, and he got his channel banned, right?
I was there for that sting.
You were there as well. Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, that's legendary.
You could pull up the footage. I was there.
You were just hanging out with the dude who was doing it, because
I talked to EDP.
the guy with the red hair. I thought he was. So what bars did you get off with EDP? It's been a few years since I saw that video.
Yeah, it wasn't my catch. It was a other creep catcher's catch.
With the orange hair.
Yeah,
that guy?
yeah,
Okay.
predator poacher.
Okay.
And he invited me to the catch as a collab. And I said, sure, why not? And I didn't know who we were catching at that day.
Right.
Up until we were already driving there, he showed me a picture of who we were catching. And even then, when I saw the picture, I said, who is this guy? I don't know who this guy is.
Right.
He's like, oh, that's EDP. I'm like, I don't know who that is.
I had followed EDP for a long time. Like, I just saw one funny video from him one time, and I followed him, and he was like one of those people I was subscribed to on YouTube, but I never clicked his videos because they're all about sports and shit, and I just don't care about that. So then when that happened, that was like extra mind-blowing to me because I had kind of known about him for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know who he was. I've heard the name, but I just couldn't put a face to it. If you said EDP,
I feel like when he first got banned, he might have had like 3 million followers or subscribers on YouTube, which is pretty fucking big.
somewhere around there.
Yeah, he was a big deal, even though he would kind of like fall off for periods of time. But then I feel like he actually had a pretty big fan base. But okay, so what you were just like kicking it with this other guy on. So you're so committed to this that you're not just doing your own missions, but you're kind of like tagging along on other people's missions as well.
Well, yeah, they invite me to their stings. Sometimes they say, hey, Ghost, because they know like I know how to. I do a pretty solid job. So sometimes they want me to collab with them, or like it's good for them to invite me sometimes just because like I have so much experience with doing this. So yeah, he invites me, collabs with me, and we go over to the Bakersfield. That's where he was at, and I saw the picture EDP. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm down to get him. So we go over to the alleyway. I forgot the exact address, but it was some alleyway, and there was like a little grocery store. I think it was like a CVS or like a Walgreens or something. Parked over there. He comes around the corner. He parks his car there too. Comes around the corner, and obviously you can't miss EDP. He's a pretty big guy, and he starts walking up the alleyway actually.
Right.
And that's when we confront him, and it's been so long. It's been like a couple of years now, so I don't exactly remember exactly what he said, but I remember that he said that he's talked to many other kids, but probably like 6 other kids.
He just admitted that.
Yeah, he admitted that he's talked to 6 other kids.
Wow.
And then he said that he was there for a cupcake.
A cupcake.
But
And he wanted a fist bump, and his fist was just sort of left hanging there.
Yeah, I didn't fist bump him. He fist bumped everybody else that was there, but he offered to fist bump me. And then when I was like, shh, you're not getting a fist bump.
A fist bump shows a certain level of respect.
Exactly. It's like
a handshake.
Exactly.
It's like a hug.
Yeah. Yeah, he tried to fist. I think what he was trying to do was he was trying to befriend us.
Yeah.
So we're like nice with him and hey, don't expose me. But I was like, I already knew what he was trying to do. So I was like, I'm not going to give you the fist bump.
Yeah, that stood out to me a lot because it's like, of all the times I've watched To Catch a Predator, I've never seen that style where it's just like, oh, I'm gonna try to like just be cool with these guys. Like I'm just gonna ask for a fist bump, which kind of is like, to his credit, EDP is kind of a unique guy. His brain just went to a different place than the average person, which is
we've had that response before too, but yeah, I guess that's the way that he went.
Right. And so then recently Gideon and another dude whose name I'm forgetting right now, but they came together and caught him again, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't watch the video. I heard about it.
Right, I seen a few little clips.
The way I see it is, why are you guys giving EDP so much attention? Why are you giving him the platform? Like if you want this guy to be forgotten, which he deserves to be, the guy's a creep. I mean, why are you guys giving him so much attention? Why are you giving him the platform to use his voice?
But I mean, it is like newsworthy, or it's like something people deserve to know about the fact that he's still doing this. Because I mean, I would have assumed that he probably wouldn't have the balls to try this shit again after getting publicly humiliated that bad.
Yeah, well, with these guys, they don't learn, and they never change anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, I've caught people who caught them twice before. Back to back, I've caught them before, and
back to back is crazy.
Well, not back to back, but like within the same year, I've caught the same guy.
That's wild.
And
I mean, do you think of them as sick people? Like, because when I hear something like that, it makes me feel like, holy shit, like this dude's probably like really an addict. Like even if he wanted to stop, it doesn't sound like he's probably capable of stopping.
Well, their brains are wired different. I mean, these guys. They're just creeps. I will never understand it,
right?
Because I'm not a creep, so I can't put myself in their shoes. But what I will say is these guys will never change, even though the amount of therapy that they go through, the amount of medication they take, the amount of embarrassment that they go through, they're not going to change. They might get cautious. They might get more cautious about going about it,
right?
But the attraction to kids is not going to change.
Yeah, like what do you think the solution is? Lock them up forever?
I would say if you assault a kid in real life, you should get locked up for life or even capital punishment.
Damn.
That's what I think.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, what is the other solution? If you're dealing with a crime,
or put them on an island altogether.
I know.
And you know which island I'm talking about?
What, Australia? What island do you think? Oh, the Epstein Island?
Yeah.
That's probably too small. Damn. That is a crazy idea, though.
Put them all on the island, and they all get to live together, and
But, I mean, like, just think about what the island would be like. Because there's not going to be any kids unless you end up putting some chicks there so that some people can create them, which probably definitely should not. Like, I just wonder what these people would do if they, like, would they create societies? You got to give them some kind of, like, food and shit, I guess, right?
It's not my problem anymore.
Yeah, the island idea, I don't know. But it's crazy too, just because when you hear about the sheer number of it, the number of people that are sending CP around and the number of people doing the kind of stuff that you catch, it's kind of like, holy fuck, like that is like, I wonder what percentage of people who are in jail for that.
Well, you know what happens to people like that in jail, so
Yeah.
protective custody and all that.
Probably. Okay. So do you have a lot of like stream sniper type trolls? Because I watched a YouTube video from a dude who basically like confronted you while you were in the middle of a catch, and he was like filming you doing your job, which I thought was kind of crazy. I'm like, so you're getting like poached while you're doing your job? Is this a common problem?
No. So 90% of the people that show up to my live streams, and they love what I do and who we are, and they take pictures with us. They're like supporters, right?
Right.
90% of the time that's the case. But there's that 1% where, you know, sometimes there's a weirdo or there's a stalker or there's a hater troll that just, you know, sometimes they just want clout, or sometimes they just want to cause problems, or their life sucks, so maybe they want to, you know, misery loves company, so they just try to make other people's life.
Right, because I saw another guy who like just makes videos about getting you banned, and like, you know, basically like it seems like his passion is to stop predator hunters, which I didn't see any videos where he actually admits that he himself is into this shit, but it kind of seemed like that was the sentiment. Like, why else would you be going so hard trying to get people blocked or banned from YouTube?
Well, yeah, all the haters are creeps, bro. All of them. All the haters are creeps. I can't name one person that's a hater that's like a normal person. The ones that I've came across, if you check my DMs, 90% of my DMs are all love. They're like, hey, I love what you do. Thank you for protecting the kids. We ride with the movement. But those one haters that usually DM me sometimes, they're just either they have like a blank profile, no followers, right? Or it's just some creepy looking guy that already looks like someone that I would catch.
Right.
So I don't really pay attention to the haters anyway. I mean, I don't watch those videos.
Right. You're just doing your thing. Is this your full-time gig?
It's not my full-time thing. I mean, like I said earlier, I go to college, university.
Okay.
And I have a career that I'm pursuing as well. But this is just something that I do on the side just to help the community and help society, because quite frankly, the world needs it right now.
Right. Why do you wear the mask or hide your identity?
I wear the mask for multiple reasons. I wore the mask always. I always wore it since the day one.
Okay.
I wore it. And it's not because of COVID or anything.
It looks like a pretty comfortable mask.
It is.
It's like basketball shorts material.
It's pretty, you know, flexible.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. But yeah, I started wearing the mask ever since I started CC Unit. It's not because of COVID. There's some people always say, why are you wearing the mask? Are you liberal, Republican? Like they get all political.
Mask is such a statement these days. Yeah, it's true.
They get super political about it. I'm like, bro, it has nothing to do with politics. I wore it because I don't want people to see my face. It's not because I'm ugly or anything. It's just because, I mean, like you said earlier, I do a dangerous thing. I'm confronting these criminals. And
you're scared that they might try to figure out who you are and track you down or some shit.
I'm not scared, but I'm not scared of that.
It's better to avoid it if possible.
Safety,
you know?
caution,
Right.
Precaution. Why would you just be dumb and not take precaution when you can take precaution? And I always wore the mask, and that's how I came up with the name Ghost. That's one of the reasons why is, you can't really see my whole face. I'm a ghost kind of.
Right.
And then another reason why I went by the name Ghost was whenever we confront these creeps, they think they're meeting a kid, and when they come around and meet CC Unit, they're like scared shitless. It's like they've seen a ghost.
Right.
That's why their face turns pale. They get scared. So that's how I came up with the name Ghost.
Right.
So
definitely. Yeah, like just to go back to that EDP thing though, like, and Gideon kind of getting involved in this sort of thing. How do you feel about that? Like sort of collabing with like a gigantic YouTuber personality. Like on one hand, brings a lot more eyeballs to this kind of content. On the other hand, it potentially could kind of make this content look like a joke, because obviously Gideon's intention is to make funny content, and he's wearing a cupcake costume and shit like that. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't like the way. I didn't like it, to be honest. I didn't watch the video, but I saw pictures of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, Gideon's wearing the cupcake costume, kind of making a mockery out of what I do and what people who do this in a serious way.
But I feel like he believes in it a lot too. I'm sure he has the same thoughts on it as you at the end of the day, even though he also wants to make it comedic.
I mean, if you really believe in it, you would probably take it more serious. That's just my opinion on it. I mean, I didn't wear a cupcake costume when I went and confronted EDP. I straight up, I treated EDP the exact same way that I treat every other ordinary creep that I catch.
Right.
I didn't wear that, and I mean, I don't know if he got arrested or not in that situation. Probably not.
This new one, right? Yeah, it doesn't. If no, because he was making TikToks like responding to Gideon like right afterwards, and he was accusing him of like basically just making shit. Like, he accused him of waiting outside his dialysis center for like 8 hours to catch him, and as a result he wasn't able to get his medication or his treatment for his fucking diabetes or whatever, which I have no idea if that's true. Obviously EDP does not seem like a super trustworthy source, but that did make me wonder, like, oh, so when they confronted him, was it some other shit? Was it like, I don't know, like I just hope that that Gideon and them like keep in mind why this content is important, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. If you're gonna do something like this, you should do it from the heart. You shouldn't just do it because you want to make content and you want to make a couple of views and you want to make some people laugh or make a clown show out of this. If you want to make a clown show, continue doing the stuff that you're doing. Don't just dive into some serious stuff that people are actually affected by this problem. Because if anything, you're probably insulting some of real victims out there that are watching this type of stuff.
Right. That's why the cupcake costume is kind of odd, is because it's like, if this guy really was trying to fuck a 12-year-old, it's kind of weird to like make a joke out of that situation. Even though I mean, at the end of the day, Gideon's so funny, and that's just how he's going to do his content. So I feel like that's the kind of thing, is that like, well, if it gets 5 million eyeballs on this sort of content, then I guess that's still like a net good, right?
But the thing is, everybody knew about
True,
the
yeah.
EDP catch from
It's
the
a
beginning.
sequel, yeah.
That was just pretty much a sequel. You know, let me make my own version of this, and get some followers from that.
So was your first high profile catch this guy from the Chucky movie?
No, I wouldn't say that.
You had had some other ones before that?
Yeah, what I consider high-profile catches are people that are either in power or in a position of authority or work around kids already.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I consider high-profile. I know some people consider high-profile as celebrities, but if we're talking about celebrities, I would say, yeah, Chucky would be one of them.
What was his actual name?
Ed Gale.
Right, Ed Gale.
Ed Gale was high-profile celebrity. There was another guy that I caught. He was a trans activist. And he said that he worked for the campaign of Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton.
Wow. And did that check out? Did you figure out if that was actually true?
That's what he said.
Oh, okay.
That's what he claimed to me.
Wow.
His name was Clinton Allen Goss. You can look it up.
And he got arrested?
He didn't get arrested. I mean,
He didn't?
no.
So the cops showed up and let him go? Why
The
did
cops didn't even show up.
they just didn't come?
They didn't even come.
And you just gave up at a certain point and you were like, all right, you can go?
Well, no, he ran into his apartment and hid inside his apartment. I mean, I can't knock down the door.
Yeah.
But I called the cops, and the cops didn't even. They drove past the streets that I was on, and I'm trying to flag them down, and they wouldn't even pull over. It was in San Diego. Nothing happened to that guy. But if you Google his name, it's all gonna come up.
So sometimes the cops seem enthusiastic about what you're doing, and then other times they seem kind of dismissive of it because they probably just don't want to have to do extra work.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's both cases. Sometimes they just don't want to do the extra work, but most of the time they love what we do, I would say.
I respect the cops, but at the end of the day, I think that there's like a culture of laziness that kind of thrives within police departments, and I think they know that. Is that like there's a big like reward socially for like being the guy who doesn't make everybody else work more as a cop, I think.
And another thing is sometimes they get a little upset because I'm just a regular average Joe citizen. I'm not a cop.
Right.
And when they see what I'm doing, they kind of feel like insulted. Like why is this guy doing our job?
Yeah.
Why is he making us look bad? Which I'm not, that's not my intent. My intent isn't to make cops look bad. It's just to catch creeps, but sometimes they think that way.
It's kind of crazy. I remember being a kid and like really thinking that when I grew up that I could maybe be like Batman. Like I could really just solve crimes and just go out at night and just make the world a better place. And then you get older and you realize like, it's not going to happen. It's just not happening. But that's why I think it's kind of like fascinating is that by doing this kind of work, you're going out at night and you're fucking just actually trying to clean up the streets in a way that makes sense. Because if you really think about what Batman was doing, he was basically just beating up like bums and homeless people, which is kind of like a weird thing to do if you're a billionaire. But from your perspective, you're targeting like a very specific crime and, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't go after drug dealers or robbers or burglars or thieves. I go after the worst of the worst, in my opinion, and that's child molesters and rapists and pedophiles and chomos and all that. Those are the people that we should be targeting. I mean, we don't target them; they reach out to us, but those are the people that we need to get off the streets because those are the worst of the worst.
Right.
So.
Definitely. So, okay, the Ed Gale guy, what was it like catching him? Because wasn't he in a wheelchair or something?
No, he could walk.
Okay.
I think he had like a cane or something though. But, oh man.
And you figured it out beforehand, this guy's famous, or at least he's been in movies.
I knew who he was, yeah, I knew. He played it very cautious though. He was very, very cautious for the first couple months. And then he started to open up and get more comfortable. It's called the grooming process. These guys, they take their time and they try to befriend the kid, try to take advantage of them, manipulate them. And then once they get comfortable, that's when they'll start opening up, hey, how many relationships have you been in? And then it just gradually gets worse and worse and they get a lot really sexual. And
so you've got just dozens or hundreds of these sort of conversations going on at any given time?
Yeah, so the decoys for CC unit, they do these things, yeah.
And so, okay, you have people on your team and they're so then once they have somebody and they feel like they've taken them far enough along this path, they hit you up and they say, hey, this guy's ready. Let's get him set up. You guys got like a group text or something?
Yeah, we got a group chat and everything. but yeah, I mean, the way Ed Gale went was he eventually got comfortable enough that he invited the kid over to his apartment. And the funny thing is the way the apartment complex is, he can't open the door himself because I guess he had like health issues that he couldn't get out of his own apartment. But he said that he had neighbors or associates of his that would open the door for the kid, which makes me think that there's other people involved in whatever he was doing, It just made it seem weird.
So when you showed up, who opened the door?
Just some random guy.
That was in there?
Yeah. Random guy opened up the door. And we walk in.
Even though it's a bunch of grown men with cameras? And there's no child?
Well, no, we played it smart. He opened up the door, and it was just one of us. It was just me.
Oh, okay.
He opened up the door to me, and I walk in. And then that's when the dude that opened the door, he like kind of left. Like, he went wherever he went to. I don't know. He just disappeared somehow. And then that's when I felt, and I was like looking around the apartment. I was making sure the coast was clear. I'm like, all right, I got my crew now. Opened up the door. They had come in. And then I saw the door. And the funny thing is I knew Ed Gale's door just because of the way the doorknob was. The doorknob was positioned super low down. Really, like if you see that doorknob right there,
right?
That's like a normal level human being door, but his doorknob was down to the floor.
Because he's what, like 4 feet tall or something?
Yeah, like 3 feet or something. I don't know.
Holy shit!
And then so knock on the door, and I hear from a distance from inside of the apartment, "Hey, I'm coming over. Hold on." and he walks over, opens his door, and he looks up at me. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were that tall." And I'm like, "Shh, yeah." And then he invites.
So he thought you were the kid at first.
Yeah.
Well, with the mask, you could kind of pull that off.
I was wearing the mask.
You could be a 16-year-old with the mask on. Like, I mean, like, I would believe it, I guess. Until you talk.
Yeah.
Once you talk, your voice is more.
Well, how old do you think I am? Like, just from my voice.
You have a grown ass voice.
Yeah, I had to like pitch it down. Hey, like.
Yeah.
Do that.
You also, like, especially with the mask, you look so much like this guy who used to work here that I know that the fans are going to have a million comments. So shout out to Yuri, because like, you look so much like him with the mask on and I know it's going to be every fucking comment. Just want to throw that out there. But anyway, so what do you do once you get into the room?
So yeah, he opens up the door, he lets me in. And the funny thing is we actually we had like a bag with us because, we had a Chucky doll inside of the bag that I was carrying. And I had some like Chucky movies because he said that, hey, bring over some souvenirs and I'll signature them for you. I'll autograph them.
Oh my God.
Because he's like, yeah, bring over some like memorabilia or some, souvenirs that you want me to autograph for you. Because the kid was saying that he was like a Chucky fan. So, and then this guy, Ed Gale, was like bragging to the kid, "Oh, I'm the real Chucky. I'm over here. I'm the real deal. I can sign your stuff, autograph it." And he's like playing out, like he's like trying to impress the kid who he is, right?
Right.
So that's why we played the part. We bought all these Chucky dolls and we bought DVDs of the Chucky movies that he was in.
Right.
So we had this all in a bag, and he opens up the door. I walk in. He's like, "Oh, you got the stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got the stuff." And the funny thing is, the other stuff that I had in the bag was the chat logs. So he's like, "Oh yeah, open up your bag. Let's see what you have in there." And I open it up, and I didn't give him the Chucky log. I showed him the chat logs. And and another thing that he said was, "Oh, can you take off your mask? I want to see how your face looks." I'm like, "Yeah, give me 1 second." And I take out the chats and I show it to him. And then the first thing he said when I showed him the chats was like, "I knew it." Like, that's the first thing he said. "I knew it.
Right.
I knew this was a setup." And then he asked me, "Are you a police officer? Are you a cop?" I'm like, "No, I'm not a cop. Like, relax. I'm just here to talk to you." He's like, Okay. As long as like there's no cops involved, I'm fine with talking. So I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry, I won't call the cops." And I told him, "I have some camera crew outside. Let me bring them in." He's like, "Okay." And he goes and opens up the door, and then my camera crew comes in, and we're filming this guy, and he just coughs up to everything, admits everything.
What, admits to having done this in the past as well?
Yeah, he said that he's had 10 other victims that he's talked to online. And he named dropped a few big names in the video that I haven't uploaded the video. Nobody's ever seen the video yet.
Big names like famous people that he molested?
Not that
or that he did this with.
That he's friends with.
Really?
The way he like talked about it, it made it seem like they knew what he was doing, or like the friends,
So he gets caught and he's like, "Well, I'm also going to expose everybody who even knows that I'm into this."
Yeah.
Wow.
He like says, he talks about some of his friends in the video.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I can say the names afterwards. Like,
okay. Damn, that's crazy though, because that could be like the toppling of a whole pyramid of fucking creepy stuff. Because I mean, that's always like this weird accusation, is that like Hollywood is like a bunch of groomers and pedophiles and stuff, and it's like, I'm sure that there is quite a bit of that, but I don't think it's like institutional.
And you know what the funny thing is, or somewhat of a coincidence, my channel got removed right after that catch.
Really?
Pretty close, like a couple weeks after that.
Well,
catch.
that was probably the biggest thing you've had too, viral wise, right?
Well, we done one recently, like a few days ago.
Right, with this other guy who, what was his name? Fuck, I didn't write it down.
It was Gabriel Jarrett.
Okay, so this guy was in what movie?
He was in the movie Real Genius and The Karate Kid 3 and some other movies.
So he's an actor, not like a super well-known actor, but he's somebody. And how did this catch go?
So we were actually decoying this guy even before we came across Ed Gale.
Okay.
He was on our radar before Ed Gale. He was talking to this 13-year-old girl for over a year, since May of 2022. He's been talking to the decoy off and on, calling her on the phone sometimes, texting her.
That's crazy because if you're this dude and you're talking to somebody for a year, aren't you assuming that the cops or whatever are not going to be talking to you for a year?
Exactly.
So that like makes it so believable that it's real. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. And he comes out in the middle of the night in Santa Monica on a scooter. And the funny thing is, like, when I saw him in person,
I saw this video actually, yeah.
he was just like a tweaked out guy. Like he looked nothing like the pictures in the like the Hollywood pictures that he has, like the portraits and the good lighting and stuff. It was nothing like that.
Because his last significant movie roles were like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's been in some recent movies too, but not anything big.
I think all these actors, they just get like headshots that make them look like 20 years younger, and they just push this version of themselves that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you take a side-by-side picture of what I got of the catch compared to the pictures of him on Google,
Right.
night and day. This guy was like a tweaker, probably on drugs.
And he started saying some crazy shit to you right away.
Yeah, he was like, "Stop this! Stop filming me!
Right.
Stop filming me!" And then I said, "Well, what are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm here like I'm meeting an 18-year-old girl." That's what he said. And then I said, "No, you're not. You're here to meet a 14-year-old or 13-year-old turning 14-year-old." Yeah. And he was like, he's like, "No, she told me she was 18." I'm like, "Okay, why does the chat say like 14?" And he was like, "Well, she changed her age later on." And then that's when I started pressing him more, like, "Bro, you're lying." And he takes out like a weapon out of his pocket.
What kind of weapon? A knife?
It was either a knife or a pepper spray.
Okay.
I thought it was a knife at first, but it might have been a pepper spray, just the way he was like, because at first he was holding it on the side and it made it look like he was holding like a blade or something. But then he like twisted it like this and it made it look like a pepper spray. So I didn't know what he was holding at the time. But he brandished the weapon. He's like, "Get away from me! Stop recording me!" And then he gets on the scooter and takes off. But we got him. And then now the Santa Monica PD, they're investigating him. So
they didn't arrest him on the spot. They showed up and said, we'll look into it.
Exactly. Yeah, they took a report.
And was it the same thing with Ed Gale?
Yeah. Well, with Ed Gale, they said that the main problem was his health issue. His health issue, because he was like hooked up to like an oxygen machine.
Yeah, that's got to be a whole thing, arresting somebody who's on an oxygen machine.
Yeah.
But so is that more common? It's more common for the cops to just take down some information rather than to arrest them?
No, actually, all the other cases that I've had in Santa Monica, it's been arrest on the spot every single time.
Really?
The only one that hasn't been an arrest on the spot was this recent one.
Really?
They didn't arrest him on the spot.
Huh.
And it makes me think, why?
Yeah. Are you convinced that there's like corruption within the police departments and stuff like that, or is it?
I don't think it's corruption within the police department. I just think that they're probably trying to dot their I's and cross their T's because this guy's a big person.
Yeah.
Compared to the average people that we catch.
Yeah.
This guy actually is somebody and probably has money and all this.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So this is your full-time gig?
Not my full-time gig. I do this on the side.
Okay.
I mean, I do this a lot.
But if you weren't in college right now and you were doing this, would you be able to make a living at it, or is it not really like that?
No, you can't make a living out of this. I mean, maybe one day.
Were you making some money when you were on YouTube?
Just donations.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, nothing major. I mean, I'm not rolling around in a Lambo or something.
Right. You'd think that some people would want to like spend, Patreon type money, spend $5 a month to support this kind of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is an amazing cause.
But then the fact that you get deleted off social media left and right is kind of like.
What do you mean?
Are you able to stream it on Twitch? Like, are there platforms that?
I would say the best ones is Locals and Twitter.
Okay.
Twitter
too. That makes sense. Yeah.
Twitter you can live stream on as well.
Twitter will let you do a lot of fucking shit on that platform too, because I've seen like full on shit eating porn sites on Twitter.
That's gross. I don't know where you come across that, but
Well,
I've
they
never seen
DM me sometimes. They just like, because they know that I'm kind of fascinated by their world because I've mentioned it a couple of times. So I've had people DM me and then I click on it and it's like, oh my God, she just ate a piece of shit. So like that to me makes me feel like if they're not deleting that, then they're probably not going to delete some perv hunting, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Ever since Elon took over Twitter, I feel like it definitely is more, free speech and
Yeah, like I
less
used
censorship.
I used the word retarded on Twitter the other day, and I felt very confident that they weren't going to delete my whole account. Whereas before Elon, I would have probably not said that.
Yeah. Yeah. Elon's pretty free speech and less censorship, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, he's also out of his mind, but he's definitely got some good ideas, I think. No, yeah, but the only problem with that is that nobody wants to watch streaming content on Twitter. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they would be open to it. I'm sure, like, because I do see, like, the way that people, like, have moved to Rumble and Kick, like, hella, like, quickly. Like, Kick has blown the fuck up. And I never would have thought that was possible because I would always think that, like, a big part of a streamer doing numbers is just going to be the fact that they're on a familiar platform like Twitch or YouTube. But it turns out like a lot of these big creators are able to get their audience to move on over to Kick or Rumble like pretty easily. So maybe you have a future on theirs, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, YouTube is killing themselves by doing what they're doing right now on the platform. It's just they're like targeting every community. It's not just my community, not just creep catching, but they're targeting these other communities. I've seen it where there's no monetization anymore within some certain genre. Oh, you can't say this. The rules are cracking down more. It seems like every year YouTube is just shooting themselves in the foot even worse than the year before. So that's why all these other platforms are getting bigger because everybody else is just migrating over to Rumble and Kick because they have more of a say and they have more of, creator freedom.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I look at my YouTube, like my old videos, and I remember how on YouTube I didn't have to like upload stuff and then wait like 3 days for it to get approved. Because a lot of times we'll have some epic interview and like we're waiting like a week or two to get all the clips monetized and stuff because they take so fucking long with it sometimes. It's kind of mind blowing. Whereas like I got 5 million views back in the day for a video called I Did Acid in the Woods or something. Like I just went in the woods with my friends and did acid. I got 5 million views because the algorithm was pushing it super hard. That would never work now.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't.
Yeah. So at some point you're going to graduate college or whatever, and you're going to get a normal job, and you imagine yourself kind of leaving this hobby behind, or do you plan on like kind of passing it down to somebody maybe?
Nah, we're gonna expand. Expand more. We're gonna go to other states. We plan on going to states for long terms, like not just going there for a day or two, but like maybe a month, just doing a whole full-blown sting operation. And obviously when I get older, like maybe 60 years old or 70 years old or whatever, obviously I won't have the energy to chase after these guys like how I am right now. Maybe I'll do a podcast myself.
But wait, this is your hobby or your passion to the extent where you see yourself doing it until you're 60 years old?
Bro, yeah.
Much respect, because I mean, I can't even say that about this. Like, am I going to do this when I'm 60? I don't know. That's like kind of a tall order. But like the fact that you feel so strongly about it that you want to do it till you're 60, that says a lot. I mean, you should keep going.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no plans of ending it anytime soon, for sure.
So you are not necessarily thinking about getting a full-time job after college, or are you just going to do both?
I'm going to do both, yeah. I'll have a job, a good paying job, and then
you could take that money and spend it on your operation.
Exactly.
But I feel like you could have like a Patreon and that you could be making enough money to survive off maybe at some point.
Well, that's what Locals is for, just for helping, donations and stuff.
Definitely. You have a girlfriend?
No, I'm single.
I wonder what it's like. What is it like when you meet a woman and she says like, "Oh, what are your hobbies?" And you say like, "Oh, I pretend to be a little girl on the internet."
Well, I don't pretend. I don't pretend to be. It's the decoys.
I know, but like, what do women think of it as a hobby? Do they respect it, or do they think it's kind of strange?
Let me tell you something about women, bro. Women, they might not like it, but they'll respect it.
Right? Yeah.
So
You can't deny that it's good for society. I just wonder if in some women's minds it's like, well, that's a weird thing to be doing with your time.
I haven't came across one woman that says that. Whenever
That's
they,
good.
whenever they, they know. Well, when they watch who I am and what I've done in the whole CC unit, they love it. They respect it. I don't have problems
good.
with that.
It's good to know. Women are still fundamentally good. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody? Anything else we need to know?
I would say thank you to all the CC unit members. Joe, John, drop names, can I?
Sure.
Joe, John, Jerry, Biff, all them. Shout out to the whole CC unit crew. Shout out to my parents because my parents are the ones who raised me to be who I am today.
What do your parents think of this?
Oh, they think it's dangerous.
Yeah, that's see, that's how I know I'm old, is that when I think about it, yeah, the danger part does stand out to me, even though it's like it's making a difference, but it's also like, fuck, that sounds kind of scary. So you don't have somebody with a gun when you guys are out and about doing this?
I plead the fifth. I'm kidding.
I guess like just me doing so many interviews with people in gangs and like rappers and stuff, it's just like I know how dangerous some people are, and I can kind of imagine the worst case scenario, but obviously that's not most people.
Yeah. Well, I've done 386 of these.
And you ain't met somebody who was a hard ass yet?
Oh, I have, but I'm also that too.
You're a hard ass.
Well, not that word, but
You're ready for the smoke.
yeah, I'm ready. I'm
Really?
ready if it happens. Yeah.
I saw a white guy run down on you and you called him a fucking a skinhead and shit. And that was a moment.
No, that's edited by people.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, people will take a video of mine and they'll edit it and
Take the audio and put it over a video?
It was totally fabricated. Wow. Totally fabricated. Well, that's what haters do.
I did know something was up with it when I was watching it. I knew it didn't quite seem right, but damn, that's crazy. So, okay, who's the toughest dude you met doing this? Like this most intimidating or scary?
Most intimidating? I'm not really intimidated.
I know you don't want to give them the credit of acknowledging that they were terrifying. I just feel like there's got to be some scary dudes.
I would say like if they live in like a really isolated, creepy area, I would say that kind of like for example, we've done a catch in Slab City. It's not per se the person that's intimidating, but it's the area. That's kind of
he could kill you and nobody's gonna fucking find out for 3 days. Yeah.
You know what Slab City is?
Yeah.
It's like near El Centro, near Calipatria. It's like a place where there's no man's land.
Yeah.
There's no laws, no nothing.
That's not somewhere I would want to go being a vigilante. I would be terrified.
That's exactly where I went to be. Oh, another thing that I want to say, the word vigilante. This is what I always like.
You reject that?
I reject it. Yeah.
Okay.
I like to be called an activist. Because if you look up the term vigilante, it says someone that takes the law into their own hands, but we don't do that. We don't arrest these guys.
Right. That's true.
We're not.
You're alerting the police. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We're activists. We're not vigilant. Because the way the media is, the like I've dealt with media before, like some news outlets like NBC and CBS and Fox and all that.
Right.
Sometimes they say the word vigilante and they try to put a bad light on it, or they try to make us look bad.
Right.
By using that word.
Right. So when you get a high profile catch, the media just starts hitting you up and they just want you on and stuff. Yeah. That's probably good because it probably helps you grow, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty well connected with a lot of reporters now. They know who I am.
Right. Would you ever want to do like a TV show or like a more professional version?
Yeah, for sure. That would be definitely something to look into.
You know what's fucked up with YouTube is like, okay, you don't want sting operations. Well, why are there like 5 million To Catch a Predator episodes that have like 20 million views? That shit's all over YouTube.
Yeah, but I guess they see Chris Hansen as someone more high level.
Yeah, it's, I guess, a more polished product, and they probably have the cops right there from the beginning and stuff like that. I could see how there is a difference in their mind, but if you're going to have a policy, you kind of got to be consistent with it, right?
Absolutely. No discrimination there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ghost, CC Unit, doing the Lord's work, making the streets safe for 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 4-year-olds, whatever it may be. I respect it. I appreciate it. Yeah. But I think one of the main things also that I would put out there is parents should be extremely aggressive with policing their kids' access to social media.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Not to take anything away from the danger that these guys are creating, but that's one thing for me. I know exactly how dangerous it is. I've had friends who told me that they gave their kid TikTok and they didn't realize that there was DMs on TikTok. And then all of a sudden they go into the DMs and they find their kid having all kinds of weird ass conversations with dudes who might be one of these fucking guys that you're catching, or it might actually just be another kid. But either way, they have no idea. So, I mean,
yeah, this whole internet stuff, it's like a playground for these creeps. So the parents should definitely be on the lookout for that.
It's so terrifying for me that at some point I'm going to have to just like let my kid have social media and just deal with it. You're just going to have to deal with it. And I don't know if that's going to be 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 or 16. I realize at a certain point that all these kids are going to have it. So if she doesn't have it in high school, she's going to be the weird kid that doesn't have social media, right? I don't know.
I mean, when I was in high school, the people who were cool in high school, now they're the weirdos.
In my opinion, that's pretty consistent.
And I would say I wasn't really too popular or the cool kid in high school, and all these other ASB people, they were the cool ones. But now I would say the tables have turned. Like they're kind of the weirdos now. So I wouldn't really pay attention to what's weird.
I'm just more talking about the danger.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. But we'll hope for the best. All right, Ghost, appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Best of luck. Keep fighting the good fight. And where should they go if they want to check out your content?
Yeah, Instagram is where I post up a lot of updates. And, I would usually say, hey, tonight we're doing a sting on the Instagram, cc.unit. And then on locals, obviously. But that's also on Instagram, too. So if you go to my Instagram, in the link in the bio is my local, so you can just easily find me through there. We also have a Rumble as well. So
dope. Tap in. Appreciate you, man. Ghost, CC Unit, tap in. No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check us on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, Instagram, etc. Like, comment, and subscribe. NoJumper.com if you want to support. We out.